Okay, so this is the Maximus air tube. As you can see, it has 1, 2, 3 mounting holes like a typical P-rod does. Unfortunately, the valve that it comes with only has 1, 2 mounting holes. And where they place the screws is in a different location than on a P-rod. So you can't use a P-rod valve, which means you can't use an SS valve, which is what I was hoping to do to get the power up on this. Even though the screw holes mount, all 3 of them, there are no holes here, which I could put in, I guess, to mount the breech. Problem B. This valve is longer, and it will take you all the way to just about right here. Well, that is the vent hole for the regulator, which is another problem, which I'm going to explain. This regulator, take it apart here, whoops. This is where the Belleville stack sets on. That's where the O-ring sets on, and it goes inside here and has a clip that holds this in place. So this is the inlet side right here. This is the outlet side. Like every other regulator, it bleeds through the middle. This one has a ginormous hole through the middle, so it probably fills super fast. And it has to, because of how they designed this. That's the atmospheric bleed hole. So this sets like this with an O-ring gland here on this side of it, an O-ring gland on this side of it. And then the screw that goes in through for the trigger, and then the atmospheric bleeds through around the trigger threads, which all sounds super nice and fine, and it would be, except this has no O-ring in the front here, and there's no O-ring up inside here either. So that means when this baby opens to refresh, you got high pressure air leaking out of this hole. And we're talking the fill pressure, 3K. Now it's probably not leaking out super fast because there is a bolt there, but there are not much threads in there. And until this closes, which I'm sure closes pretty fast because it does have a giant hole in it for it to bleed through, you've got full atmospheric pressure, full fill pressure trying to escape to the atmosphere through here. It is a very strange system. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anyone do anything like it, and I don't like it. I think it's unsafe for one thing, and I think could lead to problems, especially if somebody removes their trigger and is filling their gun and has high pressure air blowing out of here, or who knows what kind of things could happen. I don't know. I don't want to speculate. I just don't like it. And because this sets right on top of the valve, there is no plenum. Basically what's inside of the valve is the plenum. So making power with this gun is just about impossible. The only way you could really do it would be to make a spacer in here with O-rings on both sides, or maybe one O-ring on here and it goes all the way over here, so the gauge can fit in there, and then you can put the regulator on this side, so you could have a larger plenum area and do away with this vent here and drill a hole up here somewhere to allow it to vent to atmosphere like it needs to, but not using this. This is nuts. And also, I think I showed you, this is the gauge block. That's the hole through it. That tiny little hole is the hole through the gauge block. So that's why I would ditch this guy, make a whole new gauge block that extends from here to here, that's gutted through the middle, so we can get flow, increase the plenum, and get your regulator out here. Unfortunately, of course, that is going to reduce your headroom, so you're probably going to get a few less shots, but maybe not. Maybe this is going to increase the efficiency enough where it's going to overcome the loss of that headroom. In fact, I'm sure it will. Anyway, that's my take on the Maximus so far. I think Crosman kind of did some things here that I would have done completely different if I was given the chance. And yeah, we'll see. We'll try to fix this. The transfer port hole is 105.105 inches. The throat is 200. So it does have the potential to make some power. The throat being 200, the poppet OD is 350, 347. So there's quite a bit of overlap there. We could probably skinny down the poppet some and get rid of some of that overlap and make it a little easier to cock. The biggest issue, let me pull this out here, is this is the gauge block, and it has this tiny little hole through it. Major restriction. Now that spaces off the regulator. So what we have here is a tiny little plenum inside of this valve. This is all of your plenum, just what's inside of here. So this gun's not really built to make any sort of power whatsoever, and even with its huge ports and large transfer ports, it's got a really big transfer port. Even with all of that, with the plenum size as small as it is, it's unlikely it's going to make any kind of power unless we hog this guy out, get the flow, and get some more area for a plenum in here, and then space the regulator out away from the gauge block. This is basically how it sets in the gun, just like this. Valve, gauge block, regulator. So if we space this guy out, and we open this guy up, we reduce the poppet OD, we should really be able to decrease the cocking energy needed to open this gun, because right now it is horrendous. It is literally the hardest gun I have ever cocked. Here's the spring. It's a monster. You can't even begin to compress it with your fingers. It's unreal. Anyway, that's a start, and we'll go from there. Okay, so we have our Fortitude broken down. I was telling you about the high set pressure. It appeared to be basically the fill pressure. Now I see why both O-rings on the regulator, this is their tiny little regulator, which I like. It's pretty small and compact. But anyway, the O-rings are both sheared off, and so it was just bypassing the reg. And probably why I was running into valve lock and low velocities. I was only averaging about 750 feet per second, so we'll fix that. Here's the valve. Now this is, I thought it was going to be a disco valve, but it's not. It's a purpose-built valve, as you can see here. It has an enormously hard return spring, which of course means it's going to have a short dwell, which is good for efficiency, but really bad for hammer cocking energy to get this valve open. And I can also see, just by looking in there without taking this apart, that it has a pretty big valve poppet. So let me get that apart and I'll get right back to you.